About global terror groups pledging allegiance to ISIL. I spoke earlier with Daveed Gartenstein-Ross. He's a senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. His work focuses on the challenges posed by violent non-state actors with a concentration on al-Qaeda and other jihadist organizations. Here's a portion of that conversation. Let me get your thoughts on the tentacles of ISIS, the fact that we're hearing from China on the sidelines of the NPC that some of these folks have returned from the Middle East, that in the Xinjiang Uyghur area, that some of these folks may actually have ties to ISIS. Your thoughts?
You've had some connections between Xinjiang militants and transnational jihadism for some time. Xinjiang militants found safe haven in Afghanistan when it was controlled by the Taliban. Some of them were connected to al-Qaeda. Now, there's a great deal of divergence in Uyghur militancy. I mean, some Uyghur organizations are more nationalist in stripe. Others instead have adopted the jihadist banner. But this element has been there for a while. And consonant with how a number of organizations are now, and individuals have branches or portions that are looking to ISIS, which is now the big cool thing among the new generation of jihadists. It's not surprising to have the same thing be true of Uyghurs within Xinjiang.
Let me ask you about Boko Haram pledging their allegiance to ISIS. What do you make of that?
Boko Haram's pledge is very big for ISIS, not quite as big for Boko Haram. There's a price that Boko Haram pays. It was previously embedded within the al-Qaeda network and was able to gain access to the resources and capabilities of both al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb and al-Shabaab. Now, presumably, they'll lose access to those resources. But ISIS is trying to build up its capabilities in Africa. It now quite prominently has more of a presence in Libya. Its fighters are vying for control of Sirte, although there are differing accounts as to how much they actually control. They were able to get one of the premier Egyptian jihadist organizations, Ansar Bayt al-Maqdis, to defect to the Islamic State. There's one fairly small group called Jund al-Khalifa in Algeria. But almost certainly what ISIS is doing is telling African groups that they're going to become the dominant force in Africa, convince them that they have a plan for Africa, and thus get more and more jihadists to officially take up the ISIS banner. In that sense, Boko Haram is very big for ISIS. It's not clear what kind of effect being part of the ISIS network will have operationally on Boko Haram. There certainly is cash involved for them, and they've also been able to get ISIS to help them with propaganda efforts since at least December.
That was going to be my next question. So there's really no way of telling what they get out of it, because you already outlined what they'll lose as a result. Cash, perhaps more?
Well, they'll get cash. They'll get access to the very skilled propagandists within ISIS. It's not clear how long the cash will last. I mean, if you look at reports out of Iraq, it seems as though ISIS right now is hard up for cash, so it will have less to throw around in other parts of the world. I also would suggest that there may be operational connections that emerge between Boko Haram and other ISIS franchises, maybe the Algerians, maybe the branch that they have in Libya, maybe the branch that they have now in Egypt. That being said, Boko Haram has had a long-standing relationship with al-Qaeda, and the kind of cross-pollination, though it existed, wasn't enormous. So it's not clear to what extent this is going to knock Boko Haram off of the course that it was in previously.